Hello, everyone, and today I wanted to kind of talk about um, what I mean by self-evaluating, the definitions that you have in your life. Um, you know, basically, what I mean by that is that everything in our experience, in our life, um, we have certain set definitions that we have of that thing. Especially like if you have an emotional response to something. You can't have really an emotional response to something unless you've defined it in some way, as in good or bad. You know, so if you define it as bad, you have a set response, negative reaction to that thing or person or place. So if you have a positive definition, then you have a set number of positive emotions that come from that. And if there is no real definition per se, then it's a fairly neutral, um, observation of that without actually probably a little bit more clear understanding of what is there, or what can be done about a situation or event, because you're not defined in one way or another, uh, which can skew your perspective. You know, especially sometimes, when I say that sometimes you can define it in a positive way. Sometimes the positive way can be that of an ego-driven positive way, and you can always tell if that is the case because that emotion can quickly turn into its opposite, um, or it's very shallow in that, for example, I'll use a real easy example of like a sporting event. I bowl, so I mean, you throw a ball and you throw a good ball and you get a strike. Hooray, yay! It's very very happy feelings with that, and you're very excited. But then miss a ball and you get a split and stuff, quickly can turn to frustration and anger and stuff. So the positive feeling is not something that's really derivative of something that's um, of an inward creation. It's something that is exterior, and you're kind of a victim of the circumstances that are being played out. What we're trying to do is actually gain control of some of that and to be able to derive our happiness or from a deeper place, so that that joy of just being who you are, which ultimately is the source of all happiness anyway, is that you're trying to be more fully yourself. So the the idea of diving in and deriving your sense of self from within, not from the exterior events of what are happening and stuff, and using that as a foundation for your joy, for your happiness. And when you find that you do that, then your definitions tend to melt away of of what things should be, or what they are not being, and that sort of thing. They just kind of just are. Everything just is the way it is, and everything that happens is supposed to happen in that way and is all there for a particular reason. You are manifesting that in a sense, so that way those definitions can be exposed towards yourself, and yet you can decide in your present moment to change the definitions, dissolve them, keep them. Um, so it is almost for me it's almost a fascinating thing how the start of being able to there's a couple different ways that you can start in the self-evaluation method in that, but one of a good mantra to use in evaluating, am I creating my reality in the most positive way that I can for myself, is to realize that the thoughts that I think may not be true. In fact, they most likely are not true, and probably a good idea to just observe them in somewhat of a detached way. So anything that you have a voice to in your head, anything that you observe it, if not at the time, after the fact, and observe it and ask yourself, is this true? Can I know this for 100% certainty? Is this true? Do other people see this thing as true? Does everybody see this as true? Is there anybody that doesn't see this as true? What happens to them? When they don't see this as true, are they more peaceful than me? Am I at peace knowing that this thing is true? And if you're not at peace, then it starts to, you don't even really have to go much further than that. It's just an observation that this thought that's in your mind that is defining reality is something that is causing you pain. It's causing you discomfort, and is something that needs to be exposed to the light of your own being. There's a different force that's being able to observe it. You have to observe it from a deeper place, and it's not coming from the conditional mind of this being who is conditioned by time, conditioned by your life, your experiences, your parents, your friends, the community that you grew up in, the country that you were in. All these things are certain conditions that have been applied over time and stuff towards yourself. So just being able to observe that, you have to be able to there has to be something much deeper within yourself that is able to see that. And that doesn't come from the mind. It doesn't come from the being. So if the being can't do that, there's something else that is coming through this that is able to see that. And that's what you're trying to get in touch with, so that your natural place of being comes from there. So that way, this sense of peace just kind of starts to stay with you, and the circumstances start to, that would normally be able to trigger some negative emotional response, start to wither away and fade. They're very shaky. So they need your identification with those things in order to sustain themselves. Otherwise, if they don't, and you are seeing from a deeper place, then they tend to start to melt away, and then you derive yourself from that deeper place that shines through much stronger through this being. So I'll I'll leave it at that. I appreciate everyone for watching, and take care.